Welcome to the Indie Music Room, a conversation with independent artists about writing, recording, performing, and promoting their original music. And now here's your host, Heather Kelly.
I'm very excited to introduce to you our new guest this month, and his name is Melvin James. We go back a ways. We've had some collaborations on our works together. But what I'm really excited is just to delve into his past and hear how he got from the beginning to where he's at now. It's really amazing. He's had a great run. So, Melvin, I understand you started doing music at the age of 5. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it all got started when my cousin came into town, who used to just travel around passing the hat, and came into town sleeping on people's couches with his guitar and started playing songs. I was like, oh, wow, that's great. And yeah, that's kind of where I got my first inspiration.
What was your first instrument you started on?
Guitar. I had a guitar like with the strings were like a half inch off the neck.
Uh-huh.
And I'd just practice and practice till my fingers bled.
Yeah.
My dad would yell at me, hey, knock the shit off down there. So.
Of course. Every parent's nightmare. Where were you born?
In Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay, so when did you start taking off with your career? I mean, obviously not the age of 5, but what year did things start picking up for you? And what was your process in getting from, you know...
A to B?
Yeah, 5 years old to where you are today, because you've had an amazing background story.
Well, a friend of mine was working in as a sound man in Minneapolis, and I had just had a newborn baby, was like 2 months old. So I said, let's, he said we can live in his attic. So we went up to Minneapolis and lived in his attic.
Sure.
And I joined a band, put a band together called the Crash Street Kids, I think, and Playboy voted us one of the best unsigned bands in 1983 or
Playboy
82.
Magazine?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Compared us to the Who and the
That's incredible.
Yardbirds and the Raspberries.
Okay.
And then after that, we got in a car accident doing a Jerry Lewis telethon. And my drummer broke his collarbone, and
No.
so I came back to my roots here in the studio. Well, that's the part that I missed between 5 years old, and I think I was maybe 17, or I was 14 years old when I saw this band play at the Iowa State Fair, and I was living on $1 a day there. Mm-hmm. And this band Dakota, and they were from Fort Dodge. And so I said, hey, you should have me come up and play guitar. I'm really good. And so they had me come up, and I played the guitar with my teeth and the mic stand. Anyway, we started a riot at the Bill Riley stage, and so I became friends with these guys, and they said, you should come up to the studio and hang out with us and go on the road. So I used to hitchhike up here after school, and I think when I was 16 years old, I met Kirk Kaufman, who owns the studio in Otho.
Again, everybody that's listening, I just want to remind you that he is the generous host of our show, The Indie Music Room, so we get to have this out here every month.
Yeah, go Kirk, one of my favorite people in the world. So
you met him.
He had me living in his drum booth, learning my craft, me and my girlfriend. And unbeknownst to the other two guys in the studio that owned the studio, and until we got caught anyway. So we'd record from like midnight to 8 in the morning, and then skedaddle out of here and then get back. So anyway, when I had moved to Minneapolis and started this band called the Crash Street Kids, and we got in the crash, and we're out of commission for a while, I came back to the recording studio to do my solo work.
Okay.
And we started with a 3 or 4 song demo, and we got interest from Atlantic. Ended up getting interest from Warner Brothers, MCA, EMI.
Wow.
Geffen.
How did they get all of your material?
Back then, we just sent it out on a looking at the back of records and the address. So we sent it out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we got interest right away. John David Clodner from Geffen was the first A&R guy to come out to see me. So ironically, I was
And they came out to see you where?
in Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis, okay.
So I was I was actually at the club having the stage built out further so that I could perform on a bigger stage, and John Klodner was going to be coming, and in the meantime, Michael Rosenblatt from MCA Records was coming to see another band, and somebody played him my demo cassette, and he said, I want to sign this guy, not the band that I'm here to see.
Right.
So ironically, I ran into him at the club while I was having the stage built, and we set up another appointment. I eventually signed with him, but it was great to have these, these stories, one of which Bruce Lundvall, that from EMI Manhattan, the president of the label, was driving in a limo with his A&R guy. A&R guy's the guy who signs the bands. Bruce Garfield, who had signed like Billy Squier, had just played him some stuff on the way, and Bruce Lundvall said, I forced him to pull the limo over and told him, go sign this guy right now.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
It started a bidding war. Michael Rosenblatt at Geffen, he had signed Madonna and a few other artists. So there was a bidding war, and I ended up going with Michael Rosenblatt.
Fantastic. Now, there's a song we're going to be playing here in just a minute, but where did you record this one? I've heard this song. It's one of my favorite. It's called Why Won't You Stay? Tell me a little bit about that song, the studio it was recorded at, and...
Yeah, so the demos that I got my record deal with, most of the songs were cut at Junior's. Back then, I think it was called Westminster Sound.
Okay.
And, but I had kept writing. And I'd written this song called Why Won't You Stay? And Kirk said that he wouldn't mind trying another studio to record at, just for fun.
Sure.
So I brought Kirk from Junior's up to Minneapolis. And I can't even remember the name of the recording studio at this time. But we cut it there, and we were cutting it. I think I'd done the vocal, ran through the vocal a couple times, and then I think it was CBS was doing a story about Minneapolis artists, mostly because of Prince.
Sure.
And they said, you mind if we bring our cameras in and just videotape you while you're working on your project? And Kurt goes, yeah, you know, he goes, once those cameras were on you, you sang totally in key and we got a performance. So
You know what's funny about that is just to hear you don't name drop, but you sure drop all of your connections of what you've been with, and it's really impressive. So Why Won't You Stay? You wrote that song and you went up to a studio in Minneapolis. That's the first song we're going to show of Melvin's. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more. That was Why Won't You Stay with Melvin James. This has been a really fun interview. I know him personally, and I'm so excited to hear about exactly how he got where he is today. Melvin, I was going to ask you, you seem to have recorded in several studios. What are some of the other ones you recorded in?
I recorded at the record plant in Los Angeles, Power Station, the Terrarium.
Quite a few.
There are a couple others that I just can't remember the names right now.
And you said the Crash Street Kids was your first, correct?
Right.
And what was the following bands that you had to come up after that?
It was my solo record with MCA.
Okay, and who all played in that band?
I played most of the instrumentation, and Larry Adams played drums on the demos that I got my record deal with, and then Joe Vitale played drums from Joe Walsh's band.
Oh, nice.
One of the, Bill Simzik co-produced that record with me, the MCA record, and I met Joe Walsh, and we had used he has a song called Life's Been Good to Me So Far, and he has a line in there that goes, I get so drunk that I can't find the door, and there's a door that slams, so we took the door off of that record. Simzik brought the 2-inch master in, and we put it on one of my songs called She's So Sorry.
Well, yeah, that's great. Tell me about the albums you've released.
I seem to abandon everything I did in the past and do something totally different.
I know, but I want to hear about all of them. I don't know how many you actually have out. I know the ones that are my favorite.
Yeah, so it's the Crash Street Kids.
Yeah.
And then the MCA record. And then I did another record called Planet Melvin.
Yes.
That, and we did 2 records on that project. And one of the songs we charted up in the upper 5-state region in the top 10.
That's great. I was
also, one of those songs, Havin Fun, is in 16 movies.
16 movies.
Yeah. So, Without a Paddle and She's the Man and Wild Hogs and...
That's why it's an honor to have you in our studio today. I had the privilege of playing with you for a long time. You were very collaborative. I wouldn't have finished my record if it wasn't for you, so I thank you for that.
Thank you.
So now we're going to listen to Havin Fun with Melvin James / Planet Melvin.
Ticket. I was dancing with the aliens who came to join the party.
we are back with Melvin James. And, you know, I have a couple things that I research about you that I want to know a little bit more about. But when you were with MCA, is it true that you knocked Madonna and Michael Jackson off the charts?
Well, not personally, but...
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. My video came out. Theirs was coming down the charts, and mine was brand new and had just come out. And so, that's true. Where
did you create that video?
So that was done at the Kaiser Steel Mill in Fontana, California. We just, I don't know, maybe 70 miles outside of Los Angeles.
Okay.
And it was, we had a 99-man crew, 4 semis, and rain machines, muscolites, and we shot for 23 hours straight.
Oh my gosh. It's a great video. If any of you have not seen it, you've got to look it up.
Yeah, those videos we did. Why Won't You Stay?
Yeah.
And then Loving You Is Strange, we shot at the Vargas Circus in Austin, Texas. And then the last video was called Twisted, and we shot that in Minneapolis. And back then, everything now is done on HD. Back then, everything was done on film.
Right. So a lot more editing entailed. And after MCA did all of that with the video recording, and what did you do after that? I know you sold quite a few albums. What was your next, project in mind? Give it to us.
Yeah, Michael Rosenblatt had left to go be with his dad at Geffen, the A&R guy who signed me. So he told me that he goes, if you can get out of your contract, we'll pick you up at Geffen, put out your new record. So they gave us a budget, and we went into Paisley Park after I got out of my record deal at MCA, and then they passed on me.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, I was pretty frustrated and said, I got to do something else. You know, I'd spent all my record advance money. Basically, I had a Toyota Corolla without a starter in it that I had to push to get it to go.
It sounds like every musician I know, yes.
And now I'm sleeping on the floor after spending, $180,000 advance and sleeping on the floor of a friend of mine's house. And I answered some ad, said, make $30,000 a year.
Uh-huh.
So I went and sat through this whole introduction for almost an hour, and then they brought the Kirby vacuums out. So I was like, okay, I'm doing it. I want to make $30,000 a year. So anyway, so I started selling them, and so we'd have our morning meetings, and they'd say, hey, James, sing us a song. So I'd sing some Kirby songs for them.
You were the inspiration, yeah.
Then I'd throw the vacuums in my car and wheel my way to somebody's house to show them why they needed this vacuum. So anyway, I'd be in there and I'd say, I go, because I had just had, a big video, on MTV, and I said, you ever heard that song, Why Won't You Stay, Come In, Come Out of the Rain? They'd go, we've got the record. And they bring the record, and I'd say, that's me. And they'd look at it and they'd go, oh my God, it is you. And I'd say, the music business is great, but these vacuums are really good.
Yeah.
So, and then
good way to sell.
Then I'd clean my vacuum out in their sink, and I'd throw it in the back of my Toyota Corolla and push my car down the street, start it.
Oh, man. But humble beginnings, right?
So after that, I started another band with my son, who had played drums, a band called Planet Melvin.
He's a really good drummer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard him, yes.
And so that's the band that we had the success with, Havin Fun, and so that's...
There's one other song, and I've listened to this numerous times in the studio with or without your presence, because I think you recorded it here, but it's called Me and My Alien.
Yeah.
Okay, that is one of my favorite songs. It's out there, but it's such a cool song. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think when I wrote that song, I hate to describe what a lyric is about because it's really to one's own interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just about a place and someone that you can go to where all is okay and things are great. So it really is a story. It could, for anybody, it could be, could be God, it could be whatever it is for them.
Right.
And that's kind of where the gist of that song comes from. It could be an alien. But anyway, that's what that song's about.
Who all played on that song?
Randy Pye played drums, and then I played the other instrumentation, as I usually do.
It's just me and my alien, so far and yet so near, living in the cosmos on the other side of here. It's just me and my alien, happy as can be, above the stars in heaven, beyond reality. Don't worry, we'll be back soon. The time is ours, here in our quiet room. We're searching each other and we're trying to find a way
Again, Melvin, I love that song. I don't know why, I just really like that song. That's a great one. So what are you doing right now? Are you up to any new projects? Have you been recording or writing?
I am helping other bands. I'm producing other records for folks.
You've always been good at that. You always helped us out immensely. So how are people going to be able to get in touch with you as far as, besides YouTube? If you just Google Melvin James, all those videos we talked about pop right up on YouTube.
And Planet Melvin.
And Planet Melvin. And any other bands? The Crash Street Kids, do you have any videos from there still online?
I don't know if they're online.
I know I've seen some, but I will find those links and I will get them put on my website, as well as you can always contact Junior's Motel Recording Studio and we will get you hooked up with Melvin James. So again, Melvin, I want to thank you so much for coming in today, taking your time. I know you've got a busy schedule and it took time for you to travel here to do this radio interview. Any last words?
No, just thank you very much. It's great to be here. Love this place. It's the best recording studio in the world.
Well, this place loves you too. Thanks again, Melvin. Thank you for everybody listening. You can listen every Saturday, Sunday here on FortDodgeRadio.com.
You've been listening to the Indie Music Room with Heather Kelly. Be sure to listen every Saturday and Sunday right here on FortDodgeRadio.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel for all our past and upcoming shows. The Indie Music Room is a production of FortDodgeRadio.com.